following episode contains material that may be harmful or traumatizing to some audiences. Viewer discretion is advised. Hey,
Hey, you're now listening to So You Were Saying?
with Dora and Lex.
Tune in every Friday for the latest episode. Hey, guys.
Hey,
Thanks for tuning in to another episode of So You Were Saying with your host
Dora.
and myself. Anyways,
Lord.
y'all, it is a rough night. I know we don't lie to y'all, so it's a rough night for myself. I can't really speak for Dora, but for myself, it's been a rough day, rough night, and
It was a wonderful day for me, and then all of a sudden, the energy was sucked away. No, I'm
she
just
came here
joking.
with me and was like, "Girl," I'm just like, "Listen."
No, we just had a conversation. It was a rough conversation. I mean, like I said, we're friends, but every conversation that we have is not always the nicest one. And
Not at all.
sometimes we just are
Don't
at
agree.
corners.
We don't agree,
And
but
it's
we
fine.
agree to disagree.
Oh, no, I'm not agreeing to disagree with you.
Uh-uh.
I'm not agreeing to disagree with you.
On this topic?
Oh, no. This topic we agree on.
Oh, I was like, what are we talking about?
Oh, no. I was talking about the conversation before.
No, I just don't agree. Or not that I don't agree. I just
No, you don't agree. You made your stance.
It's not that I don't agree.
You made your stance.
It's
Stick
not
by
that I
it.
don't agree. It's that I don't take it as deeply as you take it. You know what? That's a topic for another day. Not today. Today's topic is your parents ruined you, which is slightly into the other topic that we were talking about. But that's neither here nor there.
We all messed up today.
Yeah. So what I mean by your parents ruined you, because let me speak for myself, right? I'm in my own corner over here today.
I'm done. They could hear the shade.
Hella
Shady
shit.
boots.
It's shady boots for sure. Anyways, what I mean by that is, as an adult, a lot of times people will blame their parents for how they are. Whether that's they never want to, really give credit when it's positive, but when it's negative, mostly they blame their parents for how they are. And I'm just so tired of adults not taking responsibility for their actions. As a child, you can blame your parents. That's fine because, well, you're a child and your parents are your parents, and technically you just kind of follow suit, right? Which goes into the conversation that we had earlier, but
It's funny how you all of a sudden agreed with me
that
on that statement.
I don't agree with you per se. I just don't think that. I feel like
I'm not saying that you agree with my statement, but that statement that you just made of, okay, you're a child and you just follow suit.
yeah, you follow suit.
Right.
I still think that children should have their own independence and choice in who they become and who they are and who they choose to be as children.
And as I explained before, I'm not saying that you cannot have that. I'm just saying that there should be a foundation that is given.
Okay, but your
That's what I'm
foundation
saying.
that you keep trying to say is a foundation is not the foundation for every person in the world.
I'm not saying that it's a
And it
foundation
doesn't make
for
like
everyone.
your foundation is not the golden goose is what I'm saying. That was my point.
I've never said that I'm the golden goose. That's how you perceive it.
That's basically what you said is like, oh,
no, I said
children need a foundation of respect. Okay, yeah, they do, but your level of respect and what you find respectful or disrespectful is not the same as what the next person is going to find respectful or disrespectful. It's just not the same. So children have foundations. They might not be your foundations, but they're foundations.
Okay.
But anyways, continuing with what we were saying. What was I saying?
You were talking about the accountability of an adult or having accountability when you're an adult.
Yes, accountability as an adult. Basically, there comes a time in your life where you have to take control of your life and kind of just choose who you want to be, right? You no longer have to be who your parents molded you to be. You have a choice to be who you want to be. And you also have the responsibility to yourself to heal the things that are bothersome to you from your childhood. Chime in at any moment.
No, I will give my opinion. I'm just trying to see where you're developing. Because again, this topic, I mean, yes, I do completely agree with the whole accountability thing. I think You know, it doesn't matter what your past is at a certain point once you're an adult, you have to take that journey, or you should, not that you have to, because everybody chooses to do what they want to do,
Thank you.
right? Um, it's more of you should take that journey of being self-aware. And then that part of that journey is deciphering what traumas existed or might have happened in your childhood that might be projecting onto your future self,
Or your
right?
present self.
Or your present self, right? But in essence, hindering you from being able to grow out of those um situations, right?
If growth is what you're looking for. So that's another thing too. It's like not everybody's going to go through the growth or evolution stage of their life if they don't see anything wrong with who they are. And not that who you are, if you're different than who I am or who the next person is, makes you who you are wrong. However, if there's something in your life that you want to attain, and the only thing blocking you from getting that is something from your past, then you might want to think about fixing that.
Right.
That's my point of it all. It's like if you're okay with who you are as a person, stay who you are. If it's not bringing any problems into your life, stay who you are. If it's not hindering you from moving forward into something that you want to, stay who you are. However, speaking to the people who have issues and it's blocking the blessings that they're trying to get to, and the blocking is something that happened in your past, stop blaming your parents. Oh, but it's because I was raised like this. Oh, it's because my mom did this or my dad did that. Oh, it's because, my sister used to do this to me or my brother used to do this to me as a kid. I'm sorry to sound so harsh when I'm about to say this, but oh well. Grow up. You are now an adult. It is now your responsibility to yourself and to the things that you want to accomplish to fix the issues. What I mean by that is, all right, how do I go in? All right. For example, right? My mom, by the way, just FYI, for those of you listening and who may know me or my mother or whatever the case may be, I have full permission to have these types of conversations. I spoke with my mother prior to having this episode recorded. Actually, that's what took us so long to have this episode because it was just certain things that I wasn't sure were going to be okay to discuss, but I have full clearance. So now let's get into it. My mom wasn't as present as I would have wanted her to be as a child. And for the longest times, I was angry about that. I was also very angry that I felt like my mom was choosing men over me. I was very angry that my mom would disappear for, you know, whatever amount of time she would disappear for. However, what I also didn't, or I knew as a kid, but I didn't understand then that I understand now, is my mom was also, I don't know if it was raped or molested. I can't remember. Maybe both. I want to say it was rape. I don't know. That one I'd have to confirm with her on. But
It was some sort of sexual assault.
it was some sort of sexual assault, right? And she didn't heal from that. And she was never given the space to heal from that as a child or as a teenager. She wasn't taught how to deal with that. She wasn't taught how to cope. And then she became a mom. And it was just kind of like, okay, she made a choice to be a mother. She got pregnant. She got pregnant, with my older sister. Then she got pregnant with me. And she just didn't know how to be the type of mother that was around. And for it bothered me so long. And it caused so many problems for myself. Right. And I blamed her for that. And I was angry. I was so angry all the time that it caught, like, I became a freaking alcoholic. Like, I wish I was joking with you guys, but guys, I was drinking when I was like 12, bro. Like, I was an alcoholic by 15. It was disgusting. People didn't know. A lot of people didn't know. I would go to school. I was basically a straight A student. I had problems in school, but a lot of the times that I had problems in school, it was mostly because I wanted attention. And guess what? My mom showed up for to beat my behind. She showed up for that. So, hey, let's get in trouble in school because I need my mother to come and actually, be present. But my mother didn't know how to be a specific type of mother because well, one, she didn't have a specific type of mother. And then two, she had a lot of traumas that she never healed from. And she would disappear for times. And it wasn't until a recent conversation that we had where she basically said, like, I didn't know how to deal with the fact that I was raped and the fact that, these things happened to me. And the only way that I could do that was to disappear. And she I don't know. For some reason, after having that conversation, I wasn't upset with her anymore. But a long time ago, I want to say not a long time ago, but like a couple years ago, I tried my hardest. I made a choice to stop being as angry as I was because it was hindering my life. It was causing me to be a person that I didn't want to be. Oh my God, I'm not gonna cry. Yo, I'm so emotional today. I cannot cry right now.
Take a moment.
I can't. I told y'all it's a rough day.
That's why you're like chiming. I was like, sis, this is your story. I don't know.
I just get so upset when people are constantly blaming their parents because a couple years ago I made a choice. Stop crying.
Just take a breath. And we're not cutting this out because that's exactly what you said
I
last
hate
time.
you.
I love you too. Hate is such a strong word.
I can't stand you. All right. I made a choice to stop being as angry as I was because in my head at that time, my mom was not going to change. For the longest time, my mom, she would never admit to anything that she did wrong with us. She would get so defensive. She was always angry. So, God, I hope my mother doesn't hear this episode.
I have something to chime in, but I'm not sure.
Go ahead. I can't even talk right now.
No, I mean, I think the reaction that you're having now after having the conversation with your mother is because of the fact that you now in some way feel not, I don't want to say guilty or bad. It's more of just you feel like you were a bit harsh on her because of what she experienced, right?
I was.
And that's what I'm saying. I don't know how much you want to divulge in this whole situation, but I think you know exactly where I'm referencing.
Yeah, go ahead. You can say it.
And again, I think it has to do with that. And again, it's not my place or whatnot, but I think the reason why you're having this reaction from me knowing you is because you feel like you were very harsh on her and you were very like because again, you didn't have all of the details and you can't blame yourself for that. You didn't know. Again, one of the things that when we first tried to record this, I stated our parents, when they were raising us, were also raising themselves. They were growing up as we were growing up.
Especially when you have kids young.
Right.
My mom had us young. She was, I think, 16 with my sister, 18 with me, if I'm not mistaken. Y'all, I can't do math right now because I can barely speak, but somewhere along. My mother is not old.
Right.
I put it to you that way. She just didn't know any better. She didn't know any better. She did the best she could with what she had for herself. But I didn't know that back then. And I was very, like I said, I made a choice a couple years ago to stop being so angry with my mom because I needed to be better. I wanted to be a better person. And the anger that I had for her was it was keeping me still in life. Um and I just didn't want that anymore, right? I just decided, hey, I'm a big girl now, let me put my big girl pants on and figure it out. Like, who do I want to be? All right. For the longest time, I was just who I was because of what life had given me growing up. And there's only so far that you can take that excuse. Like, as adults, it's like, yo, it's your life. It's your life. Like, your parents aren't living it for you. Your siblings aren't living it for you. Your friends aren't living it for you. You have to decide, one, who you want to be. Because, like I said, if you're okay with who you are and it's not hindering anything that you want to do in your life, by all means, continue living your best life. Um, but if it's a problem in what you want to accomplish in life, then you can't keep using the excuse that this happened to me as a kid and this is why I'm going to keep doing this. Another, God, I'm gonna give into that same, thing is my own situation where I was then sexually abused growing up. And for the longest time, I allowed that to control my life. And I definitely didn't know how to deal with that. And I just would drink and I would eat and I would drink and I would eat. And it came to a point where it was causing problems in my life. So I made a choice to not drink so much. I mean, I socially drink now, but back then, y'all, it was bad. I'm talking about blackout drunk, didn't know where I was, didn't know how I was getting home, 4 a.m. cab rides because I had to call my father. Like, I don't know where I'm at, but it's not the person that I wanted to be. So I made a choice, right? And I just feel like adults, need to stop using the excuse that because my parents raised me this way, or because, I experienced this in my life, that I'm going to continue to be this person. Whether that's, you know, professionalism, relationships, just being a decent human being. It's just you are grown. You get to choose who you want to be. You do not have to be the victim in your story. You do not have to be the God, I'm shaking right now. Like, I am shaking.
I just don't feel like I need to say anything. I feel like, no, it's not that I don't feel like I need to say anything. It's just, I feel like this is just something that is so, especially just because of every conversation that we've had just before. I think this is useless. And again, I'm here to morally support you because obviously I know all the ins and outs of everything. But I think this is a story that needs to be told by you. I don't think that anything in particular, like, and it's so funny that it resonates. I didn't grow up in that life. I don't know what that feels like. I have a completely different perspective. That at times I think not that I think you've said it. I may not be as again, we're very direct as friends. So maybe at times I haven't been as kind to that part of your life. And partially it's because I haven't lived it. And the other part is because I've always been the one to want to push you past it. Because again, if we throw it back, we throw it way back, when we first met in the facility, that was towards the kind of end of the spiral of the drinking. And that's when it was like hitting, like at that point it was starting to hit rock bottom.
Oh, that was my rock bottom.
Oh, okay.
That was my rock bottom.
Okay.
That was the 4 a.m.
Okay.
Hey, I don't know where I'm at, and I don't know who I'm waking up
Right.
next to, and
Right.
I just need to get my life together because I can't even go to sleep without alcohol. Like, I need to get my life together.
So and again, I didn't know much information at that point in time. I just remember certain conversations in the famous office, of, being told, this is what I experienced, this is what it is. And I can't even tell you what was spoken at that point in time, but it was just, I just remember more of the feelings. I didn't know, but I always just felt like, I'm like, damn, like this girl needs love. Like, I'm sorry that you weren't given that. Like, and again, this is no judgment towards anyone because
to people's parenting.
Right, to people's parenting, please. but it's just I've always just seen it that way, and that's just because of how I was raised, and within my household, I had the I guess you could say the extreme opposite.
Right.
I was raised by the extreme opposite. So for me, I don't feel like I have any street cred to speak on this
I
topic.
mean, there's definitely things that you can also, even with being the way that you're raised, I feel like there's still value that you can give to this topic because there are definitely things that your parents have influenced on you that may or may not be your biggest asset. I'll use that word because I don't really know how else to explain it.
I mean, yes, no, and like I said, for me, I had to take the journeys differently. I mean, I was raised in a very strict household, and foundation for us was very, very important. It was something that my mother made sure. Again, where your mother was a very young parent, my mother was an older parent. So my mother came in with a lot of, I guess, life experience backslash wisdom of life of just experiences that she had gone through that she brought into her parenting. So it's slightly different because my mom, wasn't a child when she had a child. Where in essence, your mom at 16, 18, I don't care who you are, that to me is a child having a child. So the growing up was a lot more. My mom evolved and my parents evolved as parents and they grew up in that sense.
Yeah.
But what they brought to the table was a deep foundation of what it was.
Right.
So it's a little bit different. And like I said, I mean, there's always projections that parents have, right?
Right.
So, it doesn't necessarily like I didn't have the same situation like what you had where, it was necessarily unresolved traumas in the, I guess, for the things that I've noticed is more of projections onto me of
Right.
insecurities,
Yes.
right? So that's how it reflected in my life. So there were certain insecurities that my mother might have had, just because, again, I am the child, first generation immigrant, not knowing the language, being fearful, coming into a country, like there's many things, not having the stability that, of being born here. Um, when my parents decided to have me, they had come up to a different level where financially they were doing okay, but it wasn't anything 100% permanent. There's a whole struggle of gaining documentation in this country that I came across, which again has its own certain projections in itself.
Yeah, that's like a whole different
And
thing.
again, and that that makes me a very specific creature in its own because when it comes to and any of my immigrant children, and children of immigrants, first generation here specifically, there is and also Catholics. There is that level of Catholic guilt that goes with everything, right? It's just we came to this country, we fought for you, we did this, we achieved X, Y, Z, and the third. I didn't give up my whole life in my country for you to not be no one. So that projection in itself resonates heavy on everything that we do. That's my take on your parents didn't ruin you. So in a sense, that's what I had to overcome and understand what the what I was going to accept as success, as accomplishments. What because that's just different. It's just different for those brown, Latino, Afro Latino, Caribbean children. It is. And again, it's just you have to
She's crying too, by the way, you guys. I'm not the only one crying over here, okay? Just so y'all know. We all have tears over
it's been an emotional day.
here.
It's funny because the conversation that we had prior to all of this, there was a statement that Lex said that said, children need to be allowed to be children and not many adults. And it's funny because I'm like, yes, no, there has to be foundation, blah, blah, blah. But in this sense, I understand that statement. In this particular topic, when it
And I'm gonna
comes
stick
to,
beside it. I'm gonna stick beside it.
I mean, it doesn't, right. Not in everything, but in children, first generation. And again, it's different when you're, and I keep focusing on first generation because it's so pivotal, because it's like mom and dad didn't speak the language. Mom and dad didn't have anybody to anchor. Mom and dad are literally the first roots in this soil
Right.
to be able to attain something. So then you're the next hop skip and you're like, okay, batter up. It's you.
Right.
Right.
I mean, but I feel like with any first child, whether it comes from an immigrant family or not, they're always affected the most.
Well,
Like, it's just they hold a different
it's this different sense of responsibility. It's just
sense of responsibility.
Right. And yes, and this is why, children born of certain I guess orders, or what do you call that? There's a better word for that. But whatever. So basically the eldest, the middle,
Right.
the baby all have different perspectives. And have different
And
approaches.
it's
towards life.
crazy. It's crazy how as kids, like as
Mhm.
adults now that I have conversations with my siblings, it's always like, well, wait, what? That's what you took from that?
Right.
That's not what I took from that, because this is
Right.
what was happening. I don't know if you saw it.
Well,
but this
because
is what
a
was
lot of the
happening.
time when you're speaking of the eldest, we were the ones that were built to be self-sufficient and to take care of.
To take care of.
So
Mhm.
the responsibility that was held is a lot higher, because I needed to know, like, for example, like things that are minor, like translating for my parents at 5, 6, 7,
Right.
calling in doctors, And again, I think this is something that I will do with my own kids, just because I want them to be articulate and I want them to have that confidence and be able to speak to whomever and just be like, be able to get on the phone and be like, excuse me, I need my doctor's appointment. Does Monday work for you? It's just like, I just want my kids to have that confidence where they feel like they can tackle the world and it's going to be okay. Because
Right.
in a sense, because I had to do those things and I was exposed to those things, I, have a different take. I have a certain confidence with certain things. And I thank my parents for that.
But you were also a mini adult.
No, again, yes, in certain things, but I don't want to say that I didn't have a childhood. I definitely did. But I was one of those aware children, because again, being of immigrant parents, you were conscious of everything that was going around. So you understood the value of money. You understood when rent was paid. You understood.
But those are
when
values I
things.
feel like children should understand anyway, just because they're going to be needed in a day-to-day life. However, for me, it's all about an age-appropriate approach.
That is, yes, right. But
when you're living the way that you were, and that, well, not you, but people of
Right.
Immigrant families,
Right.
whatever. I don't want to say the wrong thing. It's not age appropriate. It's kind of just like, listen, this is what needs to get done, and I need you to handle it, and this is what I'm going to show you.
Right, because sometimes a lot of it is based on necessity.
Right.
So it's just like they don't eat these, and this is where I want to be clear. It's just like, and this is why you kind of have to, if you choose to do and take that self journey, ride or evolution, like you do so because you want to release certain things. Because sometimes you're like, oh, why couldn't I do that? Why couldn't I go to Susie Q's house for a sleepover?
We couldn't do nothing. I mean, child, that was like a whole different story.
Right. But what I'm saying is, these situations all existed because of projections that your parents,
right.
our parents had on us, right?
Right.
For different reasons. You weren't allowed, obviously that might have been very triggering for your mother because of the whole sexual assault past.
But it's great. And that's another thing too. Oh God, I don't even want to go off topic. Never mind, scratch that. Continue. Because I feel like that's gonna take us off topic. It's gonna be a whole different. But y'all.
But I'm saying, so that's one of the things. Like for my parents, it wasn't, my parents didn't go through that, but for them, it was a cultural thing.
Mm-hmm.
Like not understanding what the American culture was. I didn't understand what canned foods were until I became an adult. People are like mind blown, but like realistically, we didn't really use that. Like canned foods what we thought were like canned foods were like canned vegetables, right? And people are like, no, we're talking about Campbell's. I'm like, Campbell's.
Campbell's soup?
Right.
Raviolis?
Ravioli.
What's
Like,
that?
right. Or, I don't even know. I don't even know these names like that. But like, like Kraft mac and cheese, stuff like that. Like things that are typically, I guess,
I
of
will say
American.
in a very Hispanic household, I do appreciate a home cooked meal, bro. Like
Right. It's just how we were.
ramen ain't it.
But to us that, like, but that makes a big difference. But again, it's a projection because from what they know to be home, that's what it is. I always joke around and I always tell my mom, I'm like, you had us living in Little Peru. I grew up in Peru, people. And like sometimes people say things and they're like, did you grow up here? I'm like, I did, but y'all don't know my parents. I was like, I grew up in Peru,
Yeah.
for all intents and purposes. So again, my point to this is I had to, those projections of how much quote unquote responsibility or worry. And trust me, my parents tried not to project that. However, realistically, given the circumstances of everything, it just happens. I had to release that fear because if not, it was going to block all of my blessings going forward. I had to come to terms with that because if not, every step that I took was going to be with don't get me wrong, I am a planner type, but that's also part of the projection that was given. Like I always understood that it was important to plan and plan again and plan again. Like you have an A, B, C, D, E, F, G,
Backup
and
plan.
backup plan for anything because it's not that you didn't know, but it's weird. It's almost like to say like, it's not that this is your country or like anybody's going to kick you out, but it's kind of like that.
Oh, that's how I know that feeling all too well. I won't get into how I know that feeling, but I know that feeling all too well.
That's just kind of like, yeah. It's kind of like you just
Well,
have
actually,
to be prepared.
I guess I could get into that too because that's definitely another,
aspect
of your parents ruined you.
Right.
It's just like, but I mean, I don't want to keep dragging this out with too many examples, but I do want to point out one thing too before because I don't want my mother to hear this episode and think like, oh my God, you never like talk about your father. Let me tell you something. My father is far from perfect. My father was a horrible parent in the beginning too. Like it just is what it is. He definitely he was present, but he was very my father had a drinking problem. My father had a hands problem. Like my father just had a couple problems that definitely caused traumas down the line. However, a lot of people see if you see me on social media, a lot of people will notice that I have a very close relationship with my father. It is not because my father is perfect. It is not because we've always, just been two peas in a pod. It's just I forgave my father a long time ago because my father he just admitted to his wrongdoings. Like he was just like, yeah, I was a crap, whatever, and I'm sorry. Like, what we gonna do about it right now? And it's kind of like, no, but if you
Right.
if you know my father, then that's just is like, all right, what do you want to do? Like,
Right.
So he don't get me wrong, like me and my father, we had our things. Hell, we still have our things. Like we do not always. I mean, you never see eye to eye with anyone in the world other than yourself. But like realistically, we have our issues as a father daughter. We just handle it better. I handle it better with my father, because I stopped being angry with him a long time ago. And on top of that, he wasn't the person that I was living with. My mother was, so she got a lot of the heat. Like I wasn't there to see all of my dad's flaws after a certain point. He was flawed doing his own thing that I couldn't see, so it didn't really matter to me. But my mother, I'm living with her and I see everything and like all her flaws as a parent were like broadcasted in my life. So I held a lot more anger towards her for such a long time. Um but I mean this whole episode is really just basically saying like guys, you have to take responsibility for who you want to be. Like you are not your parents. You're not your parents. You're not their traumas. You're not their bad parenting or even their good parenting. You're not their characteristics. You're not their language. You're not any of the things that your parents are other than who you choose to be. If you choose to be what your parents were and how they raised you to be, then that's your choice. Like, but you have to take accountability for your own actions. You have to really just ask yourself what you want in your life, especially in your relationships with people. Like, if you want to be sitting with people who are, God, this is going to go back to what you were saying. But anyways, uh
Oh,
I
what did you
believe
say?
in, like, this is where, because we had a conversation earlier, like we told you guys, but I believe in not refraining from cursing too much, right? I'm a very, I guess you can call me a vulgar individual. You guys won't hear on the podcast, but if you know me in person, I curse like a sailor. Um, but there are other people who won't. If you want to sit with the won't type of people, you can't be that person. But if you want to sit with the people who don't care that you curse, then curse. You just gotta pick and choose. You just gotta know where you want to be at in the world and be that person. If you know that you want to be in a relationship with somebody and that person, is, God help me out here. Because I'm trying to say something without saying something. So I need you. I know you know what I'm talking about. So just chime in a little bit.
I just want to know where you're going with this, because I feel like it's just going to come on to end up being, Dora, you're so snobby.
Oh, but you are snobby, but it is what it is.
It's just, no, it's not. Oh, God.
She's
I
a
don't want to get
snob.
into that conversation because it goes just back in circles. It's not that. It's just, again, choose where you want to be and stick to it. Just understand whatever you choose to be in life, it's going to be based on the decisions that you've made and no one else's.
Right. Meaning that if you need therapy, go to therapy, bro.
Right. So, point blank, period. I think people should be autonomous, choose what you choose, but understand that there's certain consequences with living a certain lifestyle. There's a certain consequences with living any lifestyle. You just have to be okay with that. But if those consequences end up being negative consequences, wow, tongue twister. You need to be okay with that and own up to it, and not then flip the script and say, guess what? It's because of X, Y, Z, and the third that happened in the past. No. Once you are of a certain age, again, and this goes back to the conversation that Lex and I were having, and this is why I'm saying our parents give us a foundation. You then choose what you want to do with that foundation, whether you're going to fly, sink, or sail. That's up to you. You go from there. And that's whether you were given a good foundation or a bad foundation, or whether you think your foundation is top of the line or classless. Okay. Because at the end of the day, if it's the
Not
latter,
classless.
if it's the latter, then you can always flip and switch the script. If it's top of the line, then you can go ahead and exude that and then procreate and then keep going that, because you understand that you are not on this life alone. It's just, it is what it is. But you get to choose. You do. If that's what you choose to do.
Yeah, guys, we're gonna end it there because I just feel like I can scream this one message for days. Just because I'm really tired of adults blaming their childhood. I am. I just really am. I'm tired of
And partially she's tired about me too.
Yeah, I'm tired of her ass too. But anyways, guys, just take responsibility for yourself. Take responsibility for it. I can't even give you a better gem of the day because I don't know what else to say about it. Like, grow up. Do that. Grow up and understand that in life, you have a choice and it's only you who can make that choice and nobody else. And that's it. So we will see you guys. Oh God, no, this is the last episode.
Last episode of the season.
This is the last episode of this season.
Isn't this ironic?
Wait, what? I can't. Anyways.
Well, no, last episode of the season, and then we have the recap. We're doing a recap.
Yes, we will be giving you a season 1 recap. So guys, again, don't forget, email tell us at soyouweresaying.com. So that way we can share your opinions and your comments and your views and your stories with everybody else.
Or the questions, because I know we take out a lot of information sometimes for privacy. So we can always chime in more on certain stories. So if you didn't understand something or you want to have a clarification on something,
Right.
you can put that there as well.
Yes. So then that way we can clarify as much as we can without giving out too much information. And then after season 1 recap, season 2 will begin in.
We haven't even set that up, but
We haven't.
we
Oh,
haven't
no,
set
we
the
haven't.
we haven't even. That's
Oops.
too far. We'll let you know. But we will,
TMI.
we will be taking a little break.
Yes.
Because we have to actually get this content out for you. And we're gonna try to, but we won't leave you without content. So you're still gonna have something.
Right. If you don't follow us on social media, you guys, please follow our Instagram at so.youweresaying, TikTok at so.youweresaying, Facebook at so.youweresaying, so.youweresaying.
Or just so you were
So
saying
you were saying.com. Yeah,
That's our
like, that's
website.
our website. So you can find all of our social medias on our website's contact page. We are working on the website a little bit, so if it doesn't look up to par, we're not web designers. Working on that.
At this point, I'm not nothing. I'm a Dora.
I cannot. So, and I'm sorry that I sound like a stuffed up chihuahua, but it's just what it is.
Okay.
I know I've been saying elephant all day, but for some reason chihuahua just popped out.
I get it. But anyways, like always, please do not forget to follow us on Spotify, on Amazon Music, on Apple Podcasts, on Podbean. Guys, there's notifications that can be added to these sites.
Yes,
Please.
set up your notifications so that way you
Yes.
guys know when we release a new episode. And since we don't really, oh, look at that, a whole booger coming out my nose.
I cannot. That's disgusting. Friday, 6 a.m.
Friday,
You know the deal.
6 a.m. You guys will know season 1 recap is coming out. And then, set the notifications so that when we do figure out when we're going to drop the next season, you'll be the first to know. All right. Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye.